A new Undertale inspired RPG just dropped. Yeah, another one. Yeah, and I'm gonna force you to play it. How? I'm gonna convince you to play it because it is a damn good RPG and it deserves your attention. Oh, RPG demo, but it deserves your attention. So that's what this video will do, bring exposure to the game. Exposure, yeah. I first found this game, WONDERWORLD, when this video got recommended to me. This music was by the creator of WONDERWORLD, so then I went on his channel and I saw the trailer. The trailer looked fun, but you know, it still looked a lot like a certain other game. But I did eventually get around to downloading this demo and playing it, and to say I was pleasantly surprised is an understatement. This game is not a pale ghostly imitation of Undertale with a few unique spins here and there. I in fact believe with enough polish and effort it could stand up to Undertale. That being said, all we have is a demo right now, but it is a hella good demo. Obviously, upon first blush, there's going to be comparisons drawn to a certain game here, and yes, there totally should be comparisons. The creator for this game pretty much all but states this game is heavily inspired by Undertale, and there's nothing wrong with that because it is inspired by it. It's not just a clone. The only real thing I could see being a direct rip-off of Undertale's would be the combat, and maybe the art style, but to be honest, like, the combat is bullet hell combat, and Undertale did not invent that. It's just kind of the first game to put it in an RPG-like setting. At least I think it's the first game. Another game might have done that, just not been very successful. But anyway, here's like a good example of this game's originality. Its characters, specifically Ronald. I love this guy. You meet him and it's like a fake out, and he's like, oh, he's gonna kill you, he's really threatening, he's walking up to you slowly, oh, he's actually a goofball, never mind. So you just think, okay, he's Sans, but Unicorn, because he has more or less the same intro, but that's not it. If anything, his character gives off more Papyrus vibes, except not really, that's still a misrepresentation of his character. I'm not going into specifics here, but he is very much his own thing. Again, it's easy to just compare aspects of this game to Undertale / Delta and just, call it a day. But doing that, doesn't give enough credit to what this game does right, because even if this was just a clone, it has well enough originality to just, be its own thing. It's weird to say, but it almost feels like Undertale from an alternate universe. Okay, now I've made my case that this game is not just a clone. Now we're on to the actual review part of this video. This demo gets so much right for what I think is a dev's first game, I'm not really sure. But you can see this as a passion project, and a very competent one at that. The structure is very similar to Undertale's, walking around, solving puzzles, random encounters mixed in with story events. Of course, saying that, I realise that's kinda just a turn-based RPG. Like, all of them? But if you've played Undertale, you know what I mean, right? The combat is Undertale's combat, except you can't use your attack button for some reason. I wonder why. The intrigue. You need to use your actions to befriend enemies instead, and these actions you have to do are much more fleshed out and longer than Undertale or Deltarune's usual encounters. I think this is because you only encounter each enemy once to fight them, and there's a big variety of them. Side note, I just realised how much effort that must take for every encounter to be unique. Like, wow, that's a lot of sprites and hacks. Anyway, after you've fought and befriended an enemy, you can randomly encounter them again and you just chat with them. I adore this mechanic. It's probably my favourite thing this game brings to the table. It's just nice being able to chat with these NPCs, and it's a little way to sneak in some story and lore. Of course, these talking segments would be absolutely awful dribble if the writing wasn't there, and thankfully the writing was possibly the biggest surprise in this demo. Why is it surprising? It's good, and funny, to me at least, but I don't really have a good sense of humour, so play the game yourself to check if it's funny. But in a game like this, it is going to live or die in its writing, because the jokes and emotional moments are the soul of this type of game. No pun intended there. No, I swear it wasn't a pun, please don't hurt me. The character writing is good, the jokes are actually funny, the dialogue is engaging, and so is the plot. Not that we have much in the way of plot, but hey, it's only a demo. The writing style does feel like it's emulating Undertale's, but once again it doesn't feel uninspired or like it's just copying. There's also a cool expectation subversion where you start to find these bones about, and it looks like it's leading up to a boss fight, possibly against some dangerous beast, and then it's just an unexpected and goofy moment with some real groovy music to boot. I don't want to say groovy again, that did not sound good. Speaking of the music, I have more or less the same thing to say about it as I do most other things in this game. It's rather Undertale-y, but still very good and entirely its own thing. Well, not entirely, but it's unique enough that you're not just like, oh yeah, that's Undertale music, but with X twist. It's its own thing. I'm not qualified to speak music, as you can probably tell, but all of the current soundtrack is good, if not great, and it's on the creator's music YouTube channel, where he also does a lot of other music as well, so you can go check all that stuff out. Now on to combat, which, good overall, though the attacks can feel a little repetitive and simple sometimes, but apart from that, pretty great. I'd also say they're noticeably harder than Undertale's early battles, which does make sense, because if you're playing this game, you probably played Undertale. I mean, I only found this game because of my questionable Undertale-related music tastes. The combat overall is challenging and fun, with a few exceptions. Mostly the earlier fights don't quite hit the mark for me, but you know what does hit? The boss fight. It's hard, you'll get hit a lot. I really just love this fight against Ronald where he tries to kill you with Minecraft music discs and these weird things. Yeah, look, the fight is great, but I don't really understand what these attacks are supposed to be. Can the creator explain to me if he actually ever sees this video? I mean, he probably will, I'm going to spam in this comment section, but that's unrelated. Anyhow, my favourite thing about this fight is probably the fact that all of the attacks just are unfair at first. They all have like a simple movement or strategy to them. Like this one, that killed me a lot in my first playthrough. All you really need to do is position yourself correctly and then move left to right. Or this attack where most of the screen is, a no damage zone. No, but seriously, this attack is way too easy. The projectiles literally never hit you as long as you just go up or down and then don't move. Thankfully, this attack only turns up once in what is honestly a rather long battle, which, I mean, that's my main criticism of the fight. Like, for example, this attack, it shows up 5 or 6 times and is relatively easy to dodge, giving you a quick break, but it really only needs to be there 2 or 3 times, and the same can be applied to a lot of other attacks. Oh, not a lot, but a few other attacks that show up a lot. After beating Ronald, he opens the door to the next area of the game, gives you lore, this overly edgy line, and puts you in a bunny suit. Then you go off into the next area of the game, which is called Mescla. It's a big town with just so many sprites in it and a lot of text, and oh, by the way, first time I went into the town my first playthrough, none of the text loaded, so I thought it was just an unfinished area. But, it's fine. The town was all optional, because all you need to do is go in this museum and... Don't say it, don't fucking say it, don't say it. Look at the painting. I'm not going to say what happens after because spoilers, and I can't be bothered getting footage for it. Now for my criticisms of this demo. I have a few, but let's start with the art. It's, serviceable in most places, except when Ronald's mouth makes an appearance. Holy shit, what is that thing? Some skyboxes could also do with a bit of work. They're not bad, but, they're not good either. Apart from that, there's lots of bugs, but come on, it's a demo. I can excuse them as long as they don't make the game unplayable. I mean, there's less bugs in this demo than there was in... let me think of a game here. Yeah, any of those on launch. So, it's not doing too bad in the bug department. Now, here's my main issue. The puzzles. I can hardly call most of them puzzles, to be honest. The first main puzzle you'll do is finding switches behind trees. This is not a puzzle. This is just trial and error. Now, Undertale did have something similar to this, but just because it's an Undertale doesn't mean it's good. There's the firefly puzzle as well, which you need to collect golden fireflies so you can spawn in a bridge. this could be worked into a good puzzle. It's a solid idea, but the fireflies respawn every time you re-enter a room, and they're not really spaced out that tactfully, so even if they didn't respawn, it would still be quite easy. The other puzzles I just think are kind of okay, but I did figure out one by complete accident. Honestly, these things didn't really ruin or have much of an impact on me while I was playing. It was just afterwards and on my second playthrough when I thought, these could be issues in a full release. That's all I really have to say for now, but I cannot wait until the full game is released. I'm actually interested in the story. It seems to be going to an interesting place. Oh yeah, the story was pretty cool and interesting, that as well. Anyway, if you're somehow watching this in the future when the game's released and super popular and it's the bestest thing ever, and it literally makes more money than God himself, just remember, I was there since nearly the beginning. I don't really know why that would do anything except theoretically feed my ego, but I swear it will be important, and I'm not just trying to...
The valiant ants drive him off, straight into real danger. A mongoose